The Thanksgiving reveal. Thanksgiving at the Chin household glittered with culinary arrogance. Imported china gleamed beneath chandeliers, and servers glided between guests carrying dishes that probably cost more than my entire monthly ingredient budget. Elizabeth, my sister, adjusted her spotless celebrity chef jacket. Across the table, Mom's fingers brushed the enamel badge from her days as a renowned food critic, family heirlooms of legitimacy in the culinary world. I checked my phone as another message from my restaurant group flashed across the screen. Tomorrow's Michelin announcement would send tremors through the industry. But for now, I quietly chewed through Dad's overseasoned turkey. Still working at that local place, Julia? Elizabeth asked, her tone dripping with polished disdain. I slipped my phone back into my pocket, thinking of the global empire she didn't know was about to be recognized. The restaurant's doing well. Restaurant? Mom sighed, inspecting the truffles on her plate. Darling, you had an offer from the French Laundry. Your sister has 3 TV shows, and you're cooking in a neighborhood spot. I'm developing new approaches to fine dining, I said evenly, glancing at the clock. 18 hours until the announcement. Elizabeth's laugh was crisp, her diamond knife flashing in the light. Approaches? Real cuisine happens in premier kitchens. When's the last time you even served a tasting menu? Last week, I replied. She didn't need to know it was the menu that would make history. Elizabeth smirked. A real one, Julia, not comfort food dressed up with microgreens. Our food speaks for itself, I said simply. Of course it does, dear, Mom added, her voice soft but cutting. But you had potential. Elizabeth's restaurants have month-long wait lists. I was judging international competitions at your age, and you're still cooking, casually. Dad cleared his throat over the dry turkey. The Chin name stands for culinary excellence. 3 generations of it. You're wasting it. What we're doing, I said quietly, is redefining fine dining. Elizabeth's laugh was sharp. Redefining? My restaurants redefine cuisine every day. Real innovation, real recognition. How many notable critics have even heard of you? My phone buzzed again. Another update. Everything was set. You know, Elizabeth added, smoothing her embroidered chef scarf, I am looking for someone to manage one of my casual concepts. Entry level, of course, but at least it's real cuisine. Thank you, I said, smiling faintly, but I'm satisfied where I am. 12 hours to go. Mom's voice rose, tinged with disbelief. Satisfied? Chins don't settle for simple food. We innovate, we lead, we don't waste our talent on neighborhood dining. The butler stepped forward, hesitant. Madam Chin, the Michelin director is requesting a statement. Mom waved him off. Tell them I'll respond later. We're discussing Julia's career. Actually, ma'am, the butler said carefully, they're asking for Chef Julia Chin. The table went silent. Elizabeth blinked. There must be some mistake. Julia doesn't deal with Michelin, she runs a local spot. I finished, rising from my chair and setting my napkin aside. Actually, I deal with them quite often, especially since our restaurant group became the most awarded in Michelin history. Restaurant group? Mom's fork clattered onto her plate. The dining room's wall screen flickered to life. Breaking news, culinary history made, record number of Michelin stars awarded. I slipped on my coat. While you chased television and prestige, we were building something real. That local spot you dismissed, it's now the most acclaimed restaurant collective in the world. Elizabeth's voice was barely a whisper. But, you work in a neighborhood place. Yes, I said with a small smile, and that neighborhood just changed the future of gastronomy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an announcement to prepare. The food world is waiting. 3 hours later, the press conference hummed with energy. Front row seats once reserved for celebrity chefs were filled with critics from every major publication. Through the glass of the demo kitchen, I saw my family arrive, their faces pale with realization. Chef Chin, my culinary director approached, tablet in hand. The final star count is confirmed. Would you like to review before the announcement? I nodded, scanning the screen. While they'd been chasing fame, we'd been quietly rewriting culinary history, one late night, one dish, one local spot at a time. The new era. Dad entered first, his signature turkey suddenly feeling small, an echo of a past era. Elizabeth followed, her celebrity aura dimming beneath the weight of what we'd built. Mom trailed behind, clutching her critics' credentials as if they could anchor her to a fading influence. Let's begin, I said, stepping onto the demonstration stage. a place Elizabeth once swore I'd never stand, today marks a new era in fine dining. Behind me, the massive screens flickered to life, revealing our story in bold strokes. Dishes once dismissed as experimental filled the display, techniques Dad had called gimmicks, now celebrated worldwide. This isn't just another Michelin milestone, I continued, it's a complete reimagining of how restaurants exist. Elizabeth shifted in her seat as the next slide compared the old model of fine dining to ours. The numbers were impossible to ignore. Global reach, record-breaking stars, wait lists measured in continents, not months. We achieved what tradition couldn't, I said, scanning the room. Excellence without exclusion, fine dining without the gatekeeping. Mom's hands trembled against her notepad. For years, she'd boasted about her influence on the elite dining world. Now, even her reviews felt irrelevant. From this point forward, I announced, our culinary philosophy will define restaurants worldwide. Every kitchen, from Paris to Seoul, will operate under our approach. Dad's fingers brushed the edge of his old chef's apron. He understood before anyone else did. The torch had passed. This changes everything, I said. The age of pretentious dining is over. We've democratized gastronomy. Elizabeth's composure cracked. But fine dining has always been exclusive and unapproachable, I interjected. Not anymore. Our restaurants serve more guests than all major establishments combined, without sacrificing artistry. The live stream chat erupted. Critics, chefs, and restaurateurs across the globe nodded in agreement. They'd already tasted the future, and it wasn't served on linen-draped tables. Questions? I asked, though I already knew the answers. Dad raised a tentative hand, the old authority fading from his posture. All our techniques are documented, I said before he could speak, every innovation verified by Michelin worldwide. Elizabeth's face flushed with disbelief. You can't have built this from a neighborhood restaurant. You're just a chef who redefined fine dining, I said evenly. Our food speaks louder than prestige, louder than television, louder than lineage. Mom finally found her voice, but the Chin culinary legacy will endure, I interrupted gently, stronger than ever, not through exclusivity, but through impact. We've made excellence accessible. The lights dimmed as I began the live demonstration. Cameras zoomed in on every detail, precise plating, molecular techniques, global flavors harmonized through our new culinary philosophy. With each dish, I could see their understanding unravel. When it ended, applause thundered through the hall. The live stream counter soared. My family remained frozen at the front row. Elizabeth lingered after the crowd dispersed, staring at the plated creations. These techniques, they're extraordinary. Completely original, I said, finishing a drizzle of sauce. That local spot you laughed at, it just changed the world. She hesitated. And my TV network? I met her eyes. It's time to evolve. The era of celebrity cuisine is over. From now on, food belongs to everyone. The legacy rewritten. Dad stepped forward next, his once revered posture faltering. Even his time-honed knife skills seemed suddenly outdated. Fine dining has always been exclusive, he began, grasping for the old certainties. Fine dining, I corrected gently, has prioritized pretension over quality. That ends now. We're still the leaders of this field, he said, but the conviction in his voice was gone. And I'm still cooking in a kitchen, I replied. One that just introduced the biggest innovation since molecular gastronomy. Funny how that turned out, isn't it? Mom tried to recover the conversation. The culinary community is already adopting our methods, I interrupted. That local restaurant you mocked has redefined fine dining. Every major chef is trying to catch up. The venue slowly emptied, applause fading into quiet disbelief. My family remained where they were, frozen before the glowing Michelin announcement, the world they'd once ruled now orbiting around me. I gathered my notes. The Global Gastronomy Summit is next month. Don't be late. I paused at the door. Oh, and Elizabeth? She looked up. You might want to update your show's concept. The new cuisine isn't about celebrity anymore. I'll have our innovation team send you the guidelines. 6 months later, the old neighborhood spot no longer existed. In its place stood the Chin Culinary Center, a glass and steel beacon spanning 3 city blocks, alive with movement, light, and invention. Inside, Chefs from every continent collaborated in open kitchens, creating dishes that transcended the boundaries of tradition. My phone buzzed, another message from Elizabeth. Her 15th this week. Like the others, it could wait. Family mattered, but not more than transformation. Chef Chin, said my innovation director, approaching with a tablet. Global impact data is in. Guest satisfaction has risen 200% across all locations. I nodded, eyes skimming the holographic dashboard projecting our restaurants around the world. Fine dining as the world knew it was fading fast. We'd proven that innovation and accessibility weren't opposites, they were the new definition of excellence. One more thing, she added. Your sister's production company is requesting another meeting. They want to feature our methods. Of course they do. I smiled faintly. Schedule it for next month, after the next phase launches. The door opened. Mom entered, dressed in her new role as a global culinary consultant, humility softening the edges of her voice. Julia, darling, these creations are extraordinary. Just the beginning, I said, plating a dish with deliberate precision. You haven't seen anything yet. She gazed down at the floor below, where teams moved in seamless coordination. We never understood, she admitted quietly. What you were building here. No, I said, finishing a sauce with a final brush. You were too focused on exclusivity to see the future. Mom hesitated. Elizabeth's shows are losing viewers. Change is hard, I said simply. But she's welcome to join our innovation program, if she's ready to cook again. The intercom chimed. Chef Chin, the World Culinary Congress is ready for your keynote. The world stage. The demonstration theater gleamed under the spotlight. My family sat in the front row among journalists, innovators, and Michelin directors. Elizabeth's visitor badge looked almost fragile against her designer outfit. Dad kept adjusting his old apron, the weight of legacy heavy in his hands. Let's begin, I said, stepping to center stage. Today's topic, democratizing fine dining. Screens lit up with live feeds from kitchens across the globe, our chefs plating dishes with artistry once reserved for the elite. As you can see, I said, traditional hierarchies held gastronomy hostage. By choosing accessibility over exclusivity, we've achieved what centuries of chefs could not. Slide after slide revealed data, design, and flavor innovation. Critics nodded. The room vibrated with the realization that the culinary world had changed forever. Elizabeth lowered her notepad. Her achievements, TV fame, magazine covers, suddenly looked small. Dad's hands trembled as he watched everything he once taught me evolve beyond recognition. Next quarter, I announced, we launched the Global Culinary Initiative, bringing our approach to kitchens worldwide. A hush fell. Even Mom's steady composure wavered. Then, softly, questions. Silence. Until Elizabeth raised her hand. Your techniques, will you teach me? I smiled. The arrogance was gone, replaced by curiosity. Of course, I said. Innovation only works when it's shared. The audience erupted in applause. Afterward, Dad lingered near the stage. Julia, he said quietly, your work, it's greater than anything our family ever imagined. That's the point, I replied. Cuisine isn't about exclusivity anymore. It's about impact. That night, I stood in the test kitchen, watching teams refine the next great evolution. My phone buzzed with headlines. Chin method transforms global gastronomy. I thought back to Elizabeth's words, cooking in a diner. Now that diner had rewritten the definition of fine dining. And tomorrow, we'd do it again.